Hi, so today we're going to be talking about the PDCA cycle, and then we're going to do a project on it. So for this, I just want to start off by explaining what PDCA is. It stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. And in this book, it says the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle is a vehicle that ensures the continuity of Kaizen in pursuing a policy of maintaining and improving standards. And this book is, of course, our textbook, Gemba Kaizen, A Common Sense Approach to Continuous Improvement Strategy by Mazaki Imai, published in 2012. So we're going to do the Plan, Do, Check, Act project starting now. So let's get started with planning. So this is the current state of my bookshelf as it is right now. As you can see, it is organized by the color of each book jacket. And while I think it looks really pretty, at the end of the day, it's just not easy to find whatever book I'm looking for at any given time. And it takes up a lot of time that it shouldn't. So I think PDCA is a really great way to solve this problem. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we are actually starting the PDCA project implementation. So we are starting with plan. So what is plan? What do you need to do in it? So the first thing is you need to create a target. And then after you create a target, you need to create an action plan for that target. So what's our target in this bookshelf situation, right? For me, my target is that, okay, I need to be able to find my books easily and quickly, right? In order to lend them out to other people or to reread them myself, because I like to do that sometimes. So that's our target, to find an easier way. So how do we go about making that target happen? That's where this creation comes in of, okay, what do we do? So our action plan in this situation is, okay, obviously organize the bookshelf in a better way, right? And there's different plans that we can obviously make, different options that we have, different roads we can go down. I personally think that, so there's a few. So there's like the Dewey Decimal System, which librarians use a lot. I don't think that it should apply in this situation because it requires a lot of knowledge and skill base for the Dewey Decimal System, and I feel like that's very complicated. So we're not going to do Dewey Decimal. But that being said, I think that genres and sorting it out by author's last name are two really good options, and I think we could utilize both of those sorting methods in this. So I think the simplest way to do it with the small collection that I have that we need to work with, I think that we need to just all we need to do for our plan is to separate the books by fiction and nonfiction books, and then once they're separated, then we sort them out from A to Z depending on the author's last name for each. So, and the way that'll work is, so the first two shelves should be just my fiction, because I know I have more fiction. So those should just end up being fiction from A to Z. And then if need be, if there's like an author where I have numerous books by that author, then I'll sort those by publication date as well. So for example, if one book was in 2000 and the next was in 2005, the 2000 book would obviously go first and so forth. So I think we have our action plan now. I'll draw that up as well before we start on the do process, and then I think we can start on the do after that. So let's get started. Okay, so for the plan process, this is just a little visual aid to cover what I already talked about. So is the book fiction or nonfiction? And then after that, we sort it by the author's last name from A to Z. If there's any authors that have more than one book in the collection, at that point we are going to sort it by the publication year of the book. So that's the action plan, so let's get to it. Okay, so we are done sorting out the nonfiction books, and here they are. There were a few different authors that I had more than one book of by them, so I sorted those out by publication date. Okay, here are all my fiction books. I am ready to sort them by author's last name, and then by publication year anytime I need to. So I'm going to get started with this, and then I'll let you know how that goes. So now we are done with the do step of PDCA. So what exactly did we do? We actually did the action plan that we planned out in stage 1, which was plan. So what was do, right? We first sorted the nonfiction that you can see on the bottom shelf from A to Z, and then from any publication dates for any author that I had more than one of their authored books for. And then after I was done with that, then I did the same thing with all of my fiction books. I sorted them A through Z, and any authors that I had more than one book of, I ordered it from publication date, or publication year, I should say. So now that the do step of PDCA is done, let's go to check. Okay, so the check step of PDCA is all about checking to see if the process improvement implementation that you have planned on, to make sure that it's working the way we wanted it to work, right? Is it meeting the target that we need it to meet? So for this, I think the best way to check would be to pick a random book and check to see how easy it is to find it within my bookshelf. So for this, I'm going to pick one of my favorites, which is How to Kill a Rock Star by Tiffany D. Bartolo. So let's go find it. Okay, so now that we know that we're trying to find How to Kill a Rock Star by Tiffany D. Bartolo, let's look at the facts. The facts are that it's a fiction book, her last name starts with a D, and that it was published in 2005, just in case if we need to know that information. So we know that it's going to be in the first 2 shelves because the bottom shelf is nonfiction. So let's start from the top and start looking for the D section to see if we can find D. Bartolo. Okay, so we have the A's, the B's, the C's, and the D's. And then look at there, it's D. Bartolo right here. There's 3 D. Bartolo books. This is the one from 2005, and of course we already know the title, How to Kill a Rock Star. So now that we've checked, let's go on to the act stage. We are currently on the act stage of PDCA. So what are we doing in the act stage? Well, what we're doing is we are standardizing the process, and then we are continuously performing that process to make sure that the original problem doesn't happen anymore. So the best way I think to do that is to use the book that I actually just finished reading the other day and put it into the bookshelf, and just keep doing that for any book that I finish from now on. So let's see how that goes with the last book that I finished. So now that we are doing the act stage of PDCA, what I'm going to do with this book is I am going to use the standardized process in order to find exactly where it goes in my bookshelf. So I know that this book is a fiction book. It's by Madeline Miller, as you can see, and I know because I checked the copyright date, it is from 2012, just in case if I need that information, if there is another Madeline Miller book in the fiction section. So I'm going to go right now to the fiction section, which is, the first 2 shelves, and I'm going to find where the M's are. So where are the authors with the last name of M? So as I can see, it is not on the first shelf. Then I go down to the second shelf, and then, okay, we're at MC right here, and then MI, okay, so this is Miller. This is the other book by Madeline Miller that I know is actually a 2018 book, so I know that this new book that I'm adding will go in between, so it's going to go right there. And that is the standardized process that I am going to practice with each book that I finish from now on. So now we're done with the PDCA cycle for this project. So we are officially done using the PDCA cycle for this project. The project is complete. So I think I learned a lot about the PDCA cycle, more than I think I knew before this project, which is probably the point of it. And I think I will definitely use the PDCA cycle going forward with other projects, even around the house or at work, anytime I need to. So That's it for this project. Thank you.